Hello, everyone. Welcome to Smalltalk. This is the Smallville retrospective podcast. I'm one third of your co-host. My name is Ryan Cam. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are nearing the end, folks. And last week, not only was the craziest episode of this show, but it was also the end of an era. It is the last of the 3 episodes per one episode structure. We are only covering 2 episodes this week, 2 episodes next week, and then it'll be the final episode. And I'm not prepared for that, but it is what it is. But we've got 2 really good episodes to talk about this week, so let's get into that. First up from 3D Movie Cinema, it's Mr. It Matt, Mr. Suck It Matt. Is that German?
Yes, it is German. I look like Matt Wyatt, but I'm more crazy. I'm crazy. I'm ultra Matt. I just go around and I just
more like Ultra Lord from Jimmy Neutron. But Matt Wyatt, how are you?
Doing good. Did you know that a couple of days ago that this would be the mark of the day when the series finale had wrapped up for Smallville? It was a couple of days ago.
That's right. Yeah.
That would have been great if we did end it on that for finale, if we had that chance.
I know I got Ultraman there, but because it was a joke for the Superman movie. That's a joke.
Yeah.
But I said, as that Ultraman actually does appear in this episode, from the universe where Clark is, which I will say, I loved Kent. Okay. As for Booster, I thought it was fine, but doesn't Booster really seem familiar from a certain movie that came out in something
similar?
A movie that came out in 2010 starring Robert Downey Jr. and Mickey Rourke and Gwyneth Paltrow, directed by Jon Favreau.
I was going to say Mystery Men, but Iron Man 2 works in this scenario too.
Yeah, it's like Iron Man 2.
But also Booster Gold has always been, that's part of his personality of the comic book. He's more of the accurate Booster Gold.
I'm not saying the character, I'm saying...
And did you see the posture that he makes, that posture thing in the still shot of Booster in episode? This shot right here, that's like a Homelander shot, and John Walker from the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Seen that familiar?
Which, by the way, but what I was saying, the reason it reminds me so much of Iron Man 2 is because, just the story of this episode, not the character of Booster Gold. Booster Gold, but I'm saying, the whole dancing girls, Iron Man 2. And
then, the dancing girls. Oh,
and then you have, the bad guy, and then you have the bad guy, the kid in the movie, gets in a suit, iron-type suit, and the suit tries to go on a killing spree.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, and then you have a billionaire who...
that's because we have the live-action debut, Blue Beetle. This was the first live action.
Accurate either. That's not.
No, I know, but also they didn't really have the good budget to make the Blue Beetle effect look even good than it did today.
You just literally watched Iron Man 2 and let's just do something.
It's really just dated, and it was the first time we've ever had a live action with the Latino character. I can't remember his name, but that's him.
Yep. It would be until 2023 before we got a real Blue Beetle movie.
Yeah, the effects of that. I mean, even though I didn't like that movie, but the effects and the action looked pretty sick. But the movie itself was like,
hey, I watched that movie, and I agree with you on this, Matt. I watched that movie, and I was just like, it was okay.
And did you know it was originally supposed to go to HBO Max, but they wanted to go to theatrical, and it's like, yeah, this movie's not all that good, but I love the actor, and I love his portrayal as Blue Beetle. And I'm glad that he's able to continue on, and he's going to get his own animated series. I think that's what what I've heard from James Gunn.
The story was weak. I mean,
I know. I feel like they should have just scrapped that movie and redo it and just do it in a different way. And before James Gunn took over DC at the time.
Yeah, I don't think the movie was terrible, but at the same time, the movie's not.
It's a forgettable movie. The action and the visuals looked very sick, and it looked great, but the movie itself was not all that good.
My dad said the movie's basically Mexican Iron Man. That's
it. if Peter Parker was Iron Man, that's what it felt like.
Well, I mean, he finds an iron suit, and then he fights off the bad guy in another Iron Man type suit, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I went in there and I watched it. And I'm like, this is just.
Did they already confirm a while back that they're doing a Titans series too? I think from what I've heard they did. And if they are going to go forward with that thing, I wouldn't be surprised that Blue Beetle might be a part of the team, because he kind of was a part of that Titans team at the time.
So, but yeah, before we get to the Blue Beetle episode or the Booster Gold, let's talk about Kent.
Okay.
Segue. Right?
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, let's get into it. This is season 10, episode 17, called Cat.
We gather here today to say goodbye to our friend on this earth.
Smallville, all new episode Friday, April 15th on the CW.
Clark Kent is in a nostalgic mood after Martha signs over the deed to the farm as a wedding present, wondering whether it suggests he and Lois should sell and move. Clark Luthor surprises him using the mirror box and shattering it after having sent Kent to his world, then fools everyone for a while in search of bloody vengeance on at least one Luthor. Kent finds himself public enemy number one, against whom everyone carries green kryptonite, at Oliver's funeral, where a bitter Jonathan scolds the Scrooge. Recognized and helped by the other Lois, he seeks to appease hatred and find a way back. Dr. Emil Hamilton frantically tries to repair the mirror box just in time. So, not to bury the lead here, John Schneider's back! And it's so good to see him.
Second time we got a reunion.
Which, to be fair, we knew this was coming because at Comic-Con, he showed up at Comic-Con, hugged Tom Wells.
Well, because they showed a footage of the first episode for the final season, and he showed up at the panel.
And they said this is not going to be the only episode he was in.
But we didn't know that he was going to show up in another episode. We thought he might.
They said that Matt. They said that at the panel.
Well, it's been a while since I watched the panel, dude. I haven't watched that.
Yeah, so they said that he was. They announced a lot of shit at the panel too. They were like,
"Oh yeah,
you should do spoilers." Like they said, Brainiac's coming back this season.
I think that they wanted to do that on purpose for the marketing, to get people to watch the final season, to get people excited for this whole familiar faces that they were going to bring back for the show, because it's the last one.
Yeah, like if you were at that panel that year, you knew everybody who was coming back. They were like, Lionel's coming
Dude,
back.
I saw the leaked footage. I saw the leaked online at the panel, and everybody was losing it when John Schneider popped up in the footage of the trailer.
I'm just thinking, in what world would you go out there and nowadays and just give away everything that happens this season? I'm just thinking, in what fucking world would you do that?
I don't think they would do that today. I don't think they would do it today.
Like literally, they were telling people, the stuff we can't talk about yet until the finale. But like they were telling people at the freaking panel, oh yeah, and I'm thinking, what? Why would you tell them that?
Today's internet would render something like that impossible.
Yeah, because that shit would be all over the news. That shit would be all over Facebook.
It would be all over social media, like by sundown or by the hour.
Like I'm just saying,
one of those influencers that somehow has HD quality of the footage being revealed is somehow up on their Twitter feed. Like,
but also they have Krypton, because for years when that show for Smallville, I think I might have brought this up before, but they had a website called Krypton Site where they were able to leak some of the plot point of every episode. I used to go on there all the time before the episode comes on, and they were able to leak some of the information.
I knew what episode Lionel was going to be in because they said, oh, this is the episode where Lionel comes back. Oh, this is the episode where Alan Richardson comes back. Oh, this is the episode where spoilers that we haven't talked about that we'll see next week comes back. And so they're like, oh.
And then when you see the promo and it turns out it's confirmation.
Yeah. Which, you know what? I think we should starting now. We should watch, since the ending's so near, we should watch promo. I think after this episode, we should go watch the promo for next week's episode. That way it builds us in anticipation because I thought we should start doing that because I said that way you have something to look forward to.
They do. Did you the video, the promo of the series finale of Smallville gives it the John Williams theme, a little bit of the homage of the end, and it plays the Superman theme. And that was great. I think I'm going to show it to Ryan now at this point. We're near the end, and it doesn't really spoil really much anything. It just really showing you a little bit of some of the footage that you've seen before, but adding the little new.
They reveal. This is
they do reveal one familiar face, but at this point, can you be really this surprised that some of the person that you know is going to show up?
Did you see the promo when they announced him? Did you see the promo with him Remember,
Yeah.
they 3 weeks before the finale. Because
before the finale.
they had a promo
yeah,
just for him.
Yeah, because they had the promo. They showed some of the stock footage that we've seen a million times before for the celebration. They played the John Williams music, and they showed the S shield, and they showed a little brief moment. And they showed one revealed who was going to be in it in the finale. And I think that was already announced that he was going to come back. That this character was going to come back in the finale or something.
All right, but yeah, let's talk about this. Ryan's like, tell me, Loki me.
Yeah, I'm like struggling right now. I'm like I've sworn these guys to secrecy, and thankfully,
I think here's the thing. Let's be fair. I'll probably show him when we're about to go into the finale for Smallville to build that anticipation.
That promo, that character promo that they dropped 3 weeks. I mean, actually, we could probably show them tonight because they dropped that promo like this. If you were watching Smallville,
oh yeah, they probably did. Yeah,
they dropped that promo. It says in 3 weeks he returns.
Oh well, not he returns. Not that one episode you're talking about. I think I'm talking about the series finale for that.
Yeah, so on May 15th or May.
From May 13th, like May 13th, the near the end. Boom and boom, 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 boom.
I'm just like, but yeah, we'll talk about Kent though. Yeah. So this episode, Kent, I really do like that John Schneider though. You know, like I honestly at first I was upset because I'm like how they portrayed him, like, oh, he's all wacky, Jonathan. He's like, he's like, I'm like, oh, I was like, why are they doing this to poor John Schneider?
It almost pulled us out of it for a moment when he was acting that way, but
then it picks up. It makes him because whenever he's sitting there talking to Clark, when they're by the stairwell, and he's like, when they're about to hug, that's when I got emotional. Like, this is what I'm. Wait, this is right here. This is it. When he's giving like you feels instead of wacky, Jonathan goes, and he just like he gives him that speech, and then you see Clark's about to hug him, but then they pull him back. I almost like, oh my god! I was like, like this,
dude. That shot almost reminds me of the Chamber of Secrets when Harry gets pulled back in the present day time when he was in the flashback with Hagrid. Hagrid, a little bit of a familiar moment.
But I mean, that scene still though was so good.
It was good. No, it was good to see the whole Jonathan and Clark reunion, except it's not the kind of reunion that you expected because Jonathan only sees him as Ultraman and not his own adopted son that he never met that he never had raised in his entire life. He lost everything because of Oliver Queen, because he evicted a lot of the farmers to get a lot of every kryptonite around the country, and he's just a broken man that lost everything, even Martha.
Like I love how Clark is able to bring Jonathan around with just the shotgun is here, and like this is going to be a great story you're going to tell the guys at the feed store, and like there's only one person who could possibly know that, and it's just these little connections that just build up over time, and I loved that so much. I love the very clear difference between the main world and what I'm going to call the Minority Report world, because this movie looks like it was this episode looks like it was filmed like Minority Report, and I love Minority Report, so I'm not.
It feels like the whole color grading because of the shot that Spielberg had done in the mid 2000s, the way that War of the Worlds, Minority Report.
It feels almost like they went to the Phantom Zone lens on that. They took the Phantom Zone lens and brought it.
Yeah. Because they wanted to make it more dark and grim in that universe, so for the tone itself, and that's why where Clark's world is more sunny and bright and great color of vibrant and all that stuff. But I did like that Clark was trying to convince Jonathan that like I'm not Clark Luthor, I'm your son from another world, and he has to tell him something that he never thought anybody would know but him, and I love that. Given that whole revealing that, hey, I'm actually your son from another reality.
Which, you know what, the thing it still gets me. I'm still thinking about where he tries to hug him one last time and he can't.
And and I did love the moment that when he tells him to go before the cop shows, and he says, son. Dude, that fucking got me teared up right there. He called him son. That really got me more.
I tell you, folks, after 3 episodes of concentrated dog shit, that whole scene was well worth it.
The way you say concentrated dog shit.
Because I at first was on the fence. So I was like, oh, we're gonna get.
Speaking of gold, I know we'll get into the booster gold. I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off, Jake, but I wanted to, since you brought up the gold, especially in your name right there, we got the introduction the second time, gold kryptonite, when Jonathan Kent is trying to scavenge mini gold kryptonite to buy the farm back. And we know that Clark Luthor had a brand on the Luthor brand on his wrist that was from a gold kryptonite that Lionel did to him, and it's permanent. And it could take away his powers like permanently, no takebacks. So they did another introduction to gold kryptonite as a little bit of a foreshadowing.
I will say one thing I really like is I really like is whenever like I like Ultraman. Okay, I do like that character, but the only thing I hate about it is the show keeps rewriting its own fucking continuity. Okay, literally, they established in Luthor, the episode Luthor, where Clark does this as one has to be on one side and the other one has to be on the other side. That's how it works.
Well, no, to be fair, in that defense, the only reason that they didn't switch places is what Clark Luthor brought up. He knows that was a one-way trip, and he said, "I'm assuming you destroyed your mirror box, and that explains that we could switch places." Because he destroyed his own mirror box device, and that's the reason why they couldn't switch places. If that were the case, they would have switched places a long time ago, because he brought it up like earlier in the episode, like, I destroyed the mirror box, and he had his mirror box. He was able to find his in his own reality.
Okay, but then how come when they suck Clark back in, he doesn't have the mirror box in that reality?
Because Emil Hamilton had to work on the device to get him back in.
So wouldn't then that Clark go back to that universe then?
But also Jor-El was able to have the ability to send Clark Luthor back into his own reality when he called out his name Jor-El. He was able to figure out.
I actually thought that, like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because it is a Kryptonian object. So that makes a lot of sense.
It's a Kryptonian object, bro.
Like, that made sense. I actually was like, that actually made sense. Out of everything in the episode, that actually made sense.
The way I just turned that around and brought up the major plot holes that you brought up, Jake.
It's like I will say I do like that they use recorded archive of Terrence Stamps' drill. Even though I'm like, no, I know he wasn't.
Welcome home, my son. I think that was the line that was the first time when Clark entered the Fortress of Solitude. Yeah, and they used the similar footage, visual CG, like pandering it back when they zoom away from a wider angle. That happened, and that's the same shot from the first episode of season 5.
I think they probably just colored him in his outfit and made.
They just pasted onto the footage of Clark Luthor, and that's about it. They just edit that out in the editing room.
Which I will say though, yeah. All right, I'm gonna let you have this, Matt. Even though I think honestly, I still think like, well, you know what? Even though I still to this day think if when Emil did that, then Clark the Luthor should have went back because
they only had one device, and he destroyed his as well too at the barn.
Also, yeah, I think I like the Ultraman and Tess. I like the fact that he wants to be with Tess, and like when Clark even points out, you actually truly love Tess, and you can have her in your world. You know, like you can have her still. You can have Tess. You know, which I actually think, you know, it's like he truly cares for Tess.
He does.
Because that's the only reason he wanted to hurt her at that point. Because she's like, you took away my one chance to ruin the man, ruin my life.
But Clark Kent, but the other Clark called Luthor out, saying that you could have killed Tess on an instant. He's telling him that you really want redemption, because he even mentioned to Tess earlier that he wants to do a fresh start because he can't go back to his world because everybody in the world has kryptonite that can kill him in that reality. He's already marked for death, and he wants to have a fresh start because the reason why what's holding him back was his own adopted father, who's a psychotic piece of shit. And part of him does want redemption, even though he's done some terrible things in that reality.
So let me ask you this: do you think he went back like to exactly where he was, or do you think he went like they started him over where he's like he can start on a new path where there's going to be a new Lionel in his world, new Lex, new Tess, and all that?
No, I think he just went back to his own reality.
I don't think they did, because everybody's going to be like Ultraman.
Yeah, I know that was a little bit of error that I will agree on, because that's going to be a little bit difficult. A lot more
also,
since you were a total genocidal maniac and you're trying to redeem yourself.
But anyway, I think honestly, but yeah, Ultraman just like slaughtering people left and right. Like, and all of a sudden Clark sees them sitting, and like Black Adam on a throne, just being like that scene in Superman 2.
Yeah, in the White House scene with General Zod.
Yeah, that's how it'd be. Which I will say, I really think though. I honestly thought, man, I really truly thought that that he sent him back to the beginning where he's like, look, you can start over now, and you can have Lois if you want. You can have Tess.
Well, no, he didn't really. Well, he didn't say it like that. He didn't really. That's not how he said it. He said you can go to your world to show what you can give them, so you can change their minds to win their trust back. That's what he was really saying. And Lytle's no longer there anymore.
But what about Jarrell? Remember they silenced Jarrell in the fortress. And
then he did. Yeah, but all the devices are now like gone. They're disappeared.
You may imagine. I don't know. I would think honestly. I just imagine like ever since like he says they figured out Ultraman's secret. It's just been him running, going like get out, like a lynch mob. Like hey,
that was the only thing that I wish they would have addressed it a little bit better. Is that how you're going to win the trust back after you killed so many people and you basically rule the entire world and everybody wants you dead and you killed Oliver Queen in that reality not so long ago.
I mean, he could literally just be like,
you would have to spend 10 or 20 years in the fortress just to cut yourself off from the world until you're ready to reconnect again. Maybe that might be your way.
Like Hancock, the movie Hancock. Maybe he goes to prison for a little bit and he goes, you want me to be like, he gets Jason Bateman out there and he goes to alcohol.
Yeah, maybe that could work. But they really want him dead. Like he murdered a lot of people. Hancock never murdered a lot of people in that movie. He was just being sloppy. He was just a sloppy, drunk superhero that everybody hated.
He was literally just like going around causing mayhem and destruction, but wasn't literally killing people.
But he didn't really cause any body count. Clark Luthor fucking caused a lot of body count. Everybody feared him in that reality.
Like anyone that sees Ultraman's face, which I will, and also I will say I do like though. Clark did saving him at the end, like he shows him a better way. I thought that was really great. But yeah, so yeah, I also the fight, they were about to fight. Him and Clark Ultraman were about to fight, and then it was just like a 10-second fight where like literally it was about as long as the Doomsday fight in the season.
Well, to be fair, he wasn't really trying to fight his own other version of himself. He was just trying to lure him to the fortress, and he was like, "Thank you for coming." Oh, I should have known. You took that beating a little too easily. He was not trying to fight him.
Well, that's true. Oh, yeah, I know, but it's like
because that was his goal. He doesn't need to fight unless he really has to, unless it's really necessary. He was literally holding back the whole time. He was running to the fortress to lure him into a trap.
Just be like, and he's like, I would like to at least that 10-minute.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have loved to see that fucking brawl fight. I would have loved to see that fight.
And then he realizes, like he said, if I kill him or he kills me, it's not going to change anything. He wants to be more like this Jonathan, and then try to that's what it should have been though. Because at the end of the day, it's like, look, I could be like him and then try to hurt him, but then like I could send him back. I could literally try to reason with him because violence doesn't amount to anything.
Because he knows himself. Because it's like looking in the mirror. And Clark Luthor was like, why would you believe in me? Because I know you.
Ever since this season does not have any fights, really. Like, all the fights
are really. Not as much. Not as much as we expected it to be.
Like, yeah, I will say the next episode does have some fights, though.
I did like the scene at the end of the episode where Jonathan goes to the apartment where Martha is, and he is so like you understand, like, is he gonna ring the doorbell? Is he not? And he does. But I wish they would have added a little bit more context with their whole reunion thing between.
What does her name say? What does her name say on the thing?
I think it was Martha something.
Kent. Martha Kent.
Yeah, but she still has the last. She still kept the last name.
Like, how does she have the last name? They weren't even. They said he never married her. So how?
No, they did. No, they did marry her. She just left him. She left him because he was holding on to something to his own home after his farm has been evicted.
I just don't think even if so, why would you keep your ex crazy husband's last name? I mean, most people wouldn't. Okay, like literally, if you get divorced, you're not going to say, you know what?
Well, no, they were technically separated.
Well, I mean, she's living on her own, and they haven't been together in years. So, I mean,
well, we don't know how long. They had never really clarified that part.
Well, I mean, when Oliver bought the fields up, so I'm guessing it's between 5 to 7 years.
Maybe.
Which, I mean,
because here's the thing: you could still be separated and still keep the last name. You just have to finalize the divorce papers, unless it's actually final.
I mean, to be fair, my aunt has the last name of her ex-husband, so yeah, that's true. Not wrong.
I mean, I would have loved to see the reunion, them reuniting and try to resolve their differences. That would have been really good, and it just doesn't get brought up ever again after that episode.
Also, I do like the foreplay between Ultraman and Tess because he loves Tess. Tess is like his world. It's like I like though whenever she's like, let me just kill Lionel, and then the world is yours and mine and yours. And then basically she reroutes it because she believes, like, I honestly think the one line I hated Tess saying is when he throws her through the glass, and then she goes, why would you protect him? And he goes, because he's my father. And I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah, but that was a little bit far off, little character assassination. I mean, I think that's because she didn't want to be the one to kill Lionel, no matter how much tempted she wanted to, but she still wants to have redemption and not really like disappoint Clark.
I swear the Luthor family tree is the Whomping Willow from Harry Potter.
I'm like, he's not even really your father. Your birth father is dead. The showrunners of Smallville said that they wanted like the real show, Al Gruff and Miles Miller.
Yeah.
Miller and Goff. Well, they said they were talking about, they said, there's a lot of things they would not have done. I'm pretty sure they would not have made Tess Lionel's daughter because they would have said, we're not trying to rewrite our own continuity here. So, because a good showrunner doesn't try to just retcon. A good showrunner creates new interesting storylines and doesn't try to go back to the past and try to put needles in the past, because then you create strings that makes everything messy. Because then people, if something's like, well, then how come this and this, and then what happened to this, and okay, wouldn't this person be able to know this and this? Like, remember when Lionel had an adopted son? Lucas Luthor.
Well, yeah, but they have retcon a bunch of their shit in the past too, so there's nothing different. They've done it before. They bring up one time and they never bring it up ever again.
Like Lucas Luthor was the one thing I'm still like, okay, you could have literally brought Lucas Luthor in. Like, I'm sure he was on the Vampire, he wouldn't have been able to.
And also, Pete Ross was a total asshole in season 7 when he got his little meaty rock ability, and he still disrespected because he made it clear in this speech in season 3, I will never disrespect your powers to the day I die. And he did the opposite of that. So that's another retcon they fucked up in that show. So there's not new when the showrunners retcon their own shit of their own series.
But they were more careful. They weren't trying to be like,
Were they more careful? Were they, though?
Yes, okay. They didn't want to bring in Doomsday and be like, what happened when Clark came to the meteor shower that day? And Doomsday was there as well.
Even the Veritas. Veritas was another fucking retcon that they had to do a connection with Lionel knew all along. Like, no.
Well, to
no,
be fair,
I'm telling you right now, that was a biggest retcon they did with the Veritas storyline.
The Luthor thing, they were wanting to do more with Christopher Reeves, but they couldn't because he passed.
I know, but they still did. It was not originally intended to do that in the first place until they decided to add that storyline because it was their last season that they were on, so they had to go crazy with it.
I guarantee you that the role of Virgil Swan's daughter, that was intended 100% for Reeves. But then the guy, they're like, there's no way they had to create a new character. I guarantee if you would have saw Christopher get murdered, oh my God, that episode not have aged well. If you would have saw Christopher get shot in the head, remember the daughter gets shot in the head, they pull over and then they text Lex and says it's done. And I'm just thinking, in what world? I'm like, I said, what? I said, you think people have been pissed then? They would have been people. The internet would have been alive and rioting. I mean, the internet was around, but they would have been like, all the chat rooms would have been like, fuck Miller and Goff for killing Christopher Reeves. Instead, they just do it off camera now. They did it off camera for real. They're like, Virgil Swan dies. Virgil Swan,
because he died. He died of a natural cause when they announced it on the news in season 4, and his daughter assumed that Luthor was the one who's responsible for his death. When really no, because Lionel was basically rehabilitating himself when he got out of prison. So how would that make any sense? Like, that was a little bit of a major plot hole, and they did in the show. Yeah,
which, I mean, to be fair, both shows have plot holes. But I will say, I think with their plot holes, yes, they have less plot holes on their 7 seasons than Sanders and Patterson does in their 3 seasons. Literally, they've only had the show for 3 years, and they had over 100 plot holes. Miller and Goff have less than 100 plot holes because at least them, because they actually said, you know what? maybe we shouldn't do that because then that might contradict this. Now, not every time. There are times. I mean, they have admitted in the past.
That shouldn't justify it comparing to those showrunners.
I'm just saying, like 100 out of 100 episodes, out of a 7.
Okay, if you want to get statistics here,
out of 7 seasons, they have plot holes. But Brandon Patterson and Brian over 100. Literally, that to me the biggest thing is when they retcon the season, the freaking premiere. The premiere they retcon it by saying, "Oh, don't worry, like, oh yeah, there were 2 people that came to Smallville that day." And
no, that part I did not like. I did not like that one.
No.
It was terrible.
Was so random. It was so random because Rhino, the meeting for the first time is so random, and they made it look like it's like, oh, like line. I mean, and I just hated that. Oh, he had a SWAT team out there. Okay, well then why couldn't a SWAT team say, "Hey, Mr. Luthor, get in our chopper, let's go"? Instead, he had to pitch a ride with the Kents, which makes no fucking sense. Okay, it's still to this day the biggest stupid fucking plot hole. It's like, oh, hey guys, wait, I got a SWAT team here. Hey, don't worry, I'm gonna hit you over with these farmers. Okay. Just find a target. But what if they land on the other side of the Smallville? Then get in the truck and try to find the ship. Hurry. Okay. All right. Hold on.
They were literally right next to each other. And for like Davis Bloom and fucking Clark, they were literally right next to each other in the crash.
Which, you know what? I will say, that's still the funniest thing that Miller said is that he said Miles Miller said, "There's one thing I would never have done if we had made season 8, 9, and 10. We would never have done the trench coat and the blackjack, the trench coat and the Matrix."
Trying to bring up that British accent, dude.
I'm trying to do his like Clark. He says, "We will
never done the trench coat."
If we made season 8, 9, and 10. We never would have done
I was wondering what they would have done for season 8 and 9. I know they wouldn't have done that, but I'm curious of how they would have played that out.
He said he never would have signed off on that. He never would have signed off on that suit because he said that's not that Superman. He should not have. It's Clark is no flights, no tights, and they try every way they can.
He didn't use tights. They found a loophole for that one. He wore a trench coat and he didn't fly. So that's got to count for something.
He became Neo from the Matrix.
He became
the one. He became the one. All of a sudden, he was waiting for Rage Against the Machines to come out. Clark go,
just wait for that. Just wait for them to play the Rage Against the Machines.
Oh my God, Ryan! Find the clip in the season 9 premiere of Clark in the suit, him falling, and just play Rage Against the Machines.
Oh, you get copyright strikes for that one.
Oh,
you play the music, you can't.
Come on, but no. I honestly, I'm hoping. I know they said they can't technically make it right now. I know. I was reading about that. Michael Rosen asked them, he said, "You guys have already talked to DC and them about Smallville potentially continue in Smallville," and they said right now they don't want to do anything Superman related because they said they're about to launch James Gunn's World. Yeah. And so they don't want to have like a really beloved show coming back, and then they're afraid they might take away.
Well, to be fair, they're already having another My Adventures with Superman for season 3. I mean, they're already done it. But they were working on an animated show for Smallville.
Yeah, but they said even though it's animated, they said it's a beloved show for a 10-season beloved show. And they know that the writing is good. James Gunn knows. They said Miller and Goff are going to be in the writers' room writing the episodes. So they know that they would be writing the episode, and they know.
I think that's them saying like we just want to wait for a while because we really want to build this whole new DCU, and especially we want to put Superman in the cinema so that more people go out and see that movie, and we don't want to jump the shark with the Smallville animated series that was beloved for the past 10 seasons.
Yeah, because remember when Superman Returns came out and everybody was shitting on it, saying,
there
was a chat board that said one critic review that said, if you really want a great Superman story with Superman and Lex Luthor as rivals and a great Lois Lane, then go watch Smallville season 5 because Superman Returns has none of that.
And also, when the show wrapped up, like few years later, they were already working on with Man of Steel back in 2011. They were shooting the movie in production, so they wrapped up the show at the right time. They didn't put it out at the same time when Smallville was coming on. So a few years later, we got Man of Steel. It was a few years after they wrapped the show.
They don't want to be overshadowed by Smallville. Everybody be watching Smallville. Everybody,
Yeah.
even if it's animated.
I even remember when Henry Cavill was cast. A lot of people thought Tom Welling should have been Superman. They all thought it should have been Tom Welling.
Tom Welling even said they would have had to cancel Smallville back when they were he said Superman Returns. They said they would have to cancel Smallville for him to make it, and they said they didn't want to do that. They said no.
Yeah.
We have our Superman, they have theirs. Which I will say, this is if I had to get all right, so we're going to scores now, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10. It's a really solid episode.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, same for me. It's an 8 out of 10. It's definitely a really damn good episode that I enjoyed. It was more like a sequel of Clark Luthor resolving that storyline.
Well, it has been a while, but we are simpatico. I am going 8 as well. Really enjoyed it. I thought the Jonathan stuff was awesome. But with that out of the way, let's get into let's go for gold and talk about season 10, episode 18, called Booster.
Have you or a loved one ever felt like you needed help? Are you sick and tired of all those masked men blurring in and out?
The greatest hero you've never heard of. Till now!
Booster Gold!
What an asset.
Only 3 episodes left until the 2-hour finale. Smallville, all new next Friday, 8/7 Central on the CW.
Clark gets an inverse makeover from Lois in order to become a gray mouse when the blur goes public. IMDb's words, not mine.
Gray mouse.
Just then, a flashy, media-hungry new superhero emerges, Booster Gold, who systematically steals the show. Clark discovers Booster came from the future with a Legionnaire's ring, probably stolen. Generally bullied, shy schoolboy Jaime Reyes is inadvertently infected with the alien Scarab, which Booster was hired to retrieve from industrialist Ted Cord, hence transformed into the Blue Beetle, an uncontrollable monster. Clark could just expose Booster as a fake coward, but chooses to educate him in superhero ethics. So we get not one, but 2 new heroes in this episode in Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, and we've touched on it previously in this episode, but I'm not going to lie, I really enjoyed this episode, and my exposure to Booster Gold really begins and ends with the show The Batman, the Brave, and the Bold on Cartoon Network, and I liked him in this, and I liked him here. Kind of reminded me of Captain Fantastic from Mystery Men, the 1999 film, even down to wearing the sponsorships on his suit. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
You know,
He's wearing a sponsor costume. Do you remember that in the Silver Surfer? Fantastic. Johnny Storm was wearing a sponsor upgraded his suit into a sponsor.
You know, last night I was literally like, you know, when I sent you that thing, Matt, where it says like, what's something in a movie that's unintentionally funny? I was thinking of what's something in a movie that's not supposed to be funny, but it really is. And I was thinking that's like one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's unintentionally funny when Johnny Storm goes, he goes, don't tell Johnny. And then Johnny, Chris Evans goes, don't tell Johnny what? You building that thing? Oh, when Sue finds out, you're going to get an invisible kick in the nuts. I thought that was so funny. Which I will say this. I like the idea of this character. And I understand James Gunn's trying to make a Booster Gold series.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the announced projects. In fact, they almost got it made like last year, but it fell apart because Danny McBride didn't want to make it.
Right.
Do you remember Danny McBride from The Righteous Gemstone was they were going to be the showrunners and the creators, and they actually threw around a lot of ideas, but Danny McBride lost interest.
Like, that's it. Well, that's his. Well, he's a part of that. He was part of that as a producer on the Halloween movies. Remember that?
And on The Exorcist Believers.
Yeah, that tells you something.
But he's good at comedy. He is excellent. I mean, about Righteous Gemstone.
Oh yeah. David Gordon Green, like, he did a good job with that show, but everything else.
I mean, when it comes to comedy, Pineapple Express, Vice Principals, Eastbound and Down.
When he was acting on screen, he's gold when the comedy.
I mean, to be fair, Danny McBride we're talking, not David Gordon Green. We're talking about Dan, the actor, but also he's a showrunner on stuff.
Yeah, but you got to remember, Danny McBride was a part of the whole Halloween a few Halloween movies as a producer. Yeah, he was a producer in those movies. Yeah.
Which, to be fair, a lot of people always gave him shit saying, like, a lot of people gave him shit, like, you know, for like Halloween Ends and Halloween Kills. To be fair, you know, I honestly think, you know what, he the first one people loved. The second one was basically like the Star Wars formula. The first,
Yeah, the Last Jedi. It was the Last Jedi
the
formula.
second Kills was the Last Jedi, and then Rise of Skywalker was the Halloween Ends.
Yeah, same. Yeah, the two franchises of IP follow that same fucking formula. One with Halloween and
2018,
the Jurassic World.
It's like I don't know why. That's like it's like franchises now. They just look at Star Wars.
Did they have not taken any notes for what the fuck happened in the Rise of Skywalker and never do that sequel trilogy formula?
The only difference between Star Wars and Halloween Kills is it was a different writer and director compared to Halloween Kills, which was the same.
Yeah,
writer.
but it was way more of a studio head.
It was just like,
thing.
You know what we should do for Halloween Kills? We should make it all about a lynch mob. And just them chasing after the wrong people.
Let's just focus on this one high school trouble kid who accidentally killed a little
That's
kid
Halloween
in Halloween Ends. Yeah, Halloween Ends. Exactly. And it had nothing to do with Michael Myers.
There's a moment when you watch around the time Halloween Ends begins, around the stuff involving a young man named Cunningham, where it hits you in the face and you say to yourself, I would rather be watching any movie in the Thorn trilogy over this crap every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
I will say that the funniest thing I've ever heard was from CinemaSins. And I enjoy sometimes CinemaSins. They're sometimes really funny.
No, I think it's more fun when we watch movies that are so trash and we see CinemaSins pointing out the major flaws in the movie.
They literally said the funniest thing for Halloween Ends. And because there's a scene where Jamie Lee Curtis at the beginning of Halloween Ends when Michael Myers is gone. And like murderers bring Bob back to town where they're like, Michael doesn't use guns. And then she says, she narrates, Michael was in our dreams. And then he goes, movie mistakes Michael Myers for Freddy Krueger.
That was a good one. That was a good
I love that joke so much. I'm like, I was dying laughing. I had to replay this.
It was a wonderful joke from the quote from Thor Ragnarok. It was a wonderful joke.
Yeah, movie mistakes. I'm gonna have to, Ryan, if you could find that clip, that joke from CinemaSins where Halloween Ends at the beginning of the movie where it says movie mistakes Michael Myers for Freddy Krueger. Like that is like the funniest.
I'm sure it's there.
Oh, but I will say though, I do think though with Booster Gold though, I honestly think Danny McBride would have probably done it because it's a comedy. Because the idea of the show is. The only thing I wasn't sold on Kumail Nanjiani as Booster Gold. You know that guy.
Oh, Kumail Nanjiani, yeah.
I wasn't sold as him as Booster Gold only because I just think honestly is not because I'm like I just think the one thing is could he be like people believe like oh he's like a super he would be more like a guy that's like that would be like the villain of the movie or he would be the guy that's like,
he would be more of a kind of a douchebag who's was an all-time celebrity superhero douchebag.
But I will say, I was not sold. But then if you watch Obi-Wan, I went back and rewatched Obi-Wan recently, and I saw him as the swindler Jedi, the one that pretends to be a Jedi.
Goes, the one wannabe.
Then I'm like, okay, I can buy him as Booster Gold. I'm like,
I'm all for it. Like, I'm open-minded to see what he can do for his take on Booster Gold. Like, I don't really know much about Booster Gold. I didn't read the comic books.
Well, he's a loser, like James Gunn said. He's
a washed-up loser. He's a washed-up loser that threw his football career away, and he wants to have a fresh start by becoming an all-star superhero.
But he isn't a football player in this world, though. Like he said, he's just a loser in the future. And
so he's just a loser.
Yeah, like in the comics, he's just a loser from the future. He finds super tech, and then he comes back, and he has like a little Jarvis voice in his head, and it tells him everything that's going to happen. And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to save the day, and I'm going to be."
Yeah, he's basically Jarvis.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like Iron Man. It is literally.
Yeah, it is. It's literally like Iron Man, dude.
Literally like Iron Man. Like literally, there's even a bad scene. Remember in Iron Man 2, Rhodey gets a suit, and then all the suits go rogue and start attacking all the place. And then at the Stark Expo, and Iron Man's like, "I got to go," and then he goes like, "Pew pew pew." It's like this in this episode. Like the suit that he is on is going rogue, trying to kill Booster Gold. And he's like, "I can't stop it. Watch out!" And I'm just like. And then you have the hot girls like at the beginning of Iron Man 2, and it's just like you have the hot girls in the booth.
Yeah, the bunch of group, the group of dancing girls. The dancing girls.
And then you have Ted Cord, who's basically like Justin Hammers, and I'm just like, this is fucking Iron Man.
He's not like Justin Hammer, because he's not a total douchebag. He's trying to he was because Ted Cord is supposed to be. He's not really the bad guy. He's just trying to reclaim that tech that was like stolen from in the accident. And Ted Cord was supposed to be the original Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know who was the voice of Ted Cord in the movie?
Oh God, I can't remember. Oh really? Like Jason? You mean Jason Sudeikis?
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis was.
Yeah, Jason. Yeah. I didn't even recognize his voice.
I didn't even. I saw in the credits. I'm like, hey, Jason Bateman.
Yeah, because Ted Kord is the original Blue Beetle who had just an advanced tech, but it was an alien. The Scarif was the young Hispanic Latino kid that got chosen by the Scarif, and it had these alien tech that's controlling him and is completely unstable.
And this is
And
not even accurate to the comics of Blue
Oh
Beetle.
no, the CG is so dated on
Like, if you
television,
want a real
especially when it's on a CW, because it didn't have the budget to make it look as good. Because if it were made today, I think that the effects would have been better and more like constructive action choreographed. But you know what? It's something you got to move past it. Even though we didn't really need this. This whole episode was really revolving around these two different characters. One with the kid, and what's his name again? Like I keep forgetting his name.
Jaime Reyes.
Jaime Reyes.
Yeah, Jaime Reyes, who is a shy, bubbling nerd kid who gets picked on, but
It's
Clark
the
is now
Batman-
Clark is trying to learn how to be the nerdy guy of mild mannered reporter as Clark Kent, while this kid who is also very shy, but he's needs to step. Lois is literally teaching him how to step up, being confident, and take a stand and stand up for himself against the bullies.
It's like it is such the trope of like the cliche thing of comic book villains, where it's like, oh, like remember like in the movies, oh, they're the villains like that, like literally are so bullied and picked on that they rise up like Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Electro.
Well, he was not trying to kill him. He's like, dude, I can't control the suit. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. He was not taking it personal. It's like, dude, he just doesn't know. And Booster Gold is trying to talk him down and use the words that Clark told him, given that educated superhero moral lessons that you need to fight it and you need to take a stand. You are in control. And that's where he learns to overcome his obstacles in that episode. But I did love that line in the whole episode when Clark is educating him that the suit does not make the hero. I love that line when Clark just give him that moral lessons of what it means to be a hero. You being a hero is not being a celebrity. You're out there risking your life and being more selfless. I
do like Clark saying to Booster Gold, "You're at my desk," and then Booster going, "Yeah, I can read." I thought that was a funny.
The only thing I didn't really like when he appears out of nowhere and suddenly he's a superstar in a day, which was kind of not very believable. It felt like it was too rushed so quickly.
Okay, all right, Matt, I will disagree with you because remember that song? Remember that news report of the guy that said, "Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your wife." And then they took that, made a song out of it in a day, and then it became an internet sensation. Remember that? Do you guys remember that?
No, I've never seen that
before. Climbing in your windows.
I don't know what the hell you've been looking at. You've been went into the fucking deep YouTube in the void of
it was
fucked up
literally
shit that you
from
can
like
find.
2009. Okay, like it was.
I don't even remember that.
Man, I feel old now.
Now who's fucking old?
I was like, no, but I'm like, so basically, remember like the hot.
Okay, look, maybe you're right. Like maybe you're right, but you gotta remember, but this is. Oh yeah, the Hot 2 girl. Yeah,
she
that's
literally
fair.
said one line, and the next day she became an internet sensation.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Remember this was
and then she lost it all to crypto, but that's an entirely different story.
The funniest thing to me is she was on.
You rise and fall. You rise and fall.
I was just laughing so hard because she was on Bill Maher and he was giving her advice what to do and what not to do. And then the first thing she does is go to crypto. And it was not Bill Maher's fault. I don't know why she chose crypto, but she went to crypto and lost it. I'm like, well, that's how you do it. Crypto. Internet.
But also with the Clark Kent disguised name, like he's now acting all bubbly and nerdy, and nobody is taking in notice that he's for years since he's been working at the Daily Planet, he's always been more confident. And I know I brought that up like before last week's episode, but it just seems like to me that because Cat Grant, is he not going to recognize him when he's Superman and he has no glasses on and he comes face to face with them? Oh, you're not Clark Kent. Wait, what? That will add a little bit of a major plot hole going on. Like you were standing face to face with them without the glasses for weeks.
So like Damian Wayans made apparently there's 2 movies that came out in the 90s that were about black superheroes that some people would say set the black superhero movement back years because of how awful they were. One was called Meteor Man, which is basically Superman, where a guy could touch books and basically inherit their powers. And of course, and then they got one where it's Blank Man, where it's just 2 kids, it's just 2 brothers that watch Adam West's Batman all the time. And then the one brother who is very autistic decides to become a superhero.
I remember. Oh yeah, Blank Man. Now I remember. I saw a clip of it. I saw a clip of it on Instagram Reels, but I
It's
didn't watch the
actually
whole
really
thing.
funny, but it's not.
It's actually no, my favorite scene is
It's
like so
extremely
fucking hilarious.
offensive. It's
Like he's like slap me hard and call me Susan.
he goes, "Ow!
That was no, you gotta watch that scene in
Oh,
the
stop
context.
to
It's
help
so
that
fucking.
lady."
He
Oh,
tried to assault that lady. I think that I don't know who that was. I think that was like a prostitute or something, an escort, whatever who that woman was. It's like, hey, I will beat you. Like I will beat you down. It's like slap me hard and call me Susan.
because of in that movie, because of what happens, it inspires people to become superheroes. And then they have like a Jerry Springer type panel of like different stereotypes of superheroes. Like one was called Gay Man, who is a superhero, and his powers he's gay. That's it. And then they had one,
It's not made up. That's actually fucking real.
then they had one called Midget Man, and his power is he's a midget, and he tries to
Now I gotta watch that whole movie. But that
He
one
tries to
clip, just
pick
that
up a
one slap
chair.
scene in that movie made me fucking die right there. Damn, I think it's just one of those movies that it's a spoof of superhero movies that it's so bad they make it entertaining and more funny.
I mean, like that movie is so funny though. There's some messed up jokes in the movie, like, but like there's some, but yeah, I will say, yeah, that movie, yeah, one day we're gonna do a watch party for that movie because it's so funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Blank, I mean, it's basically Batman. It's literally just black Batman. That's all it is. But like Adam West version, and I love it. I think it is one of the funniest. I think it is one of the funniest. I know some people don't like it because some people say, "Oh, it's racist" or "It's offensive," but I just think it's really, really.
Dude, look what happened in the Scary Movies. There were mostly a lot of racist jokes in those movies that wouldn't hold up in today's standards.
And the sad thing is that in the first two, that it was the Wayans brothers that wrote those jokes. That's what.
They wrote those jokes.
They wrote the jokes. It's like, man, well, they're dogging.
It's like, oh my god, it's so racist. Well, yeah, because these are black writers who actually wrote those jokes themselves. They were making fun of themselves with the stereotypes.
But I will say this. I will say about Booster Gold. I like that Cat Grant is geeking out over him, and so basically, like, and she tries to like won over Lois Lane and everything, and she even dresses up like one of the dancers to try to get with Booster Gold, and I'm just like,
have they dumbed her down again? She's not really the best judge of character at this
I will
point.
say, if you really want a good
like
Cat
this
Grant
character, I do not like this character at all.
I would not be sad if she dies. Like she is totally the weakest character writing in that show.
If you want a good Cat Grant, watch Melissa. What's Harrison Ford's wife's name? Felicia Flockhart.
I don't know, but all that I will say is that
Ally McBeal.
Remember when Cat Grant in this show had a son? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
But like, if you want a really good super Cat Grant, watch Ally McBeal. Not Ally McBeal, but the actress that plays Ally McBeal in Supergirl. The first two.
Fuck that. That was no, she was awful.
She's basically Regina George from
yeah, basically, but she's not that interesting. She sucked.
She's an asshole. Like she's
but even though that show sucked. Oh god.
He's like, I don't care. Don't look at me. She's like literally Meryl Streep.
He's like, hey, I'm hot. Like, are you though?
I'm
like really?
I'm like, look. I mean, look. Okay, Ally McBeal was really popular like 20 years ago. I mean, look. I mean, there was. Though.
She sort of grew on me at some point, but I still did not like that show at all.
Look. I like the first 2 seasons, but then at the season 3, I'm like, I don't give a shit.
I mean, season 2 was all right, but then I just like, oh god, what are we doing?
Season 4, I thought the season 4 was pretty good when they introduced Agent Liberty and ironically Sam Witwer.
Because it was Sam Witwer.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
they were playing off that alien immigrant storyline.
I know some people hated it because they're like, oh, they're pandering on real politics, and I'm like, I honestly like the storyline, what they went with it. And I also
they're kind of doing the same thing in James Gunn's Superman movie because Superman is an alien illegal immigrant. He's gonna get judged and criticized no matter what he does. And I think and I don't mind that, and I don't care about that. I think it's more authentic and more believable.
I will say, I also like how comic accurate Booster Gold is because it's very comic accurate besides the super football thing. Beetle fighting Booster Gold was pretty good. I like Clark, and also Clark and Booster scenes about how he's a loser and everything. And I like how the voice in Booster's head said, "It appears that Clark Kent was right all along."
I love that. I love
Like
that.
how the
That was
voice
great.
told him, "It appears, sir, he's trying to kill you." Apparently, Clark Kent.
Apparently, Clark Kent was right all along.
I'm like, well, no shit. Okay.
You always got to have a great British AI voice talking
Well,
over
like,
you, like
I
your
guarantee
Jiminy,
you they were
like your
"What sounds
Jiminy
Jarvis?"
Cricket from Pinocchio.
I guarantee you they were like, "What sounds like Jarvis? How close can we get without Marvel being like,
Without being a total derivative.
how close can we get to Jarvis?" And like, also, I like how and also Clark appearing in the phone booth. Yeah, I thought that
They're trying to play off that phone booth, him spinning around, changing in his suit, Superman style.
So basically, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool and everything. I just gotta say, the only thing I wish I hated was when they poured a soda on, like he opened the soda up and shook it. And I'm like, if they're laughing at you and the girl says, "Here, come and drink a soda," even if you're 5 years old, you know not to open that soda. If they're all laughing, "Hey, here you go."
Coming a mile away. And
Yeah, but if
then
he
they
sees a
put
pretty
kick
girl
me-
who's coming to his defense, like here, and you would
she's
fall for it.
There were people that are laughing at you, and
then
she's
they put a
smiling.
kick me sign on his back, and I'm
Yeah, but
just
there's
sitting
group
there
of
like a
but
kick
these are
me
group of
sign.
high school kids. Yeah, but these are group of high school kids in a fucking city.
Yeah,
Like they're
it's
in
what
Metropolis.
I love this.
Also,
This is stuff you do in
Why
the
would-
50s.
Also, why wouldn't he finish the soda? I mean, it's still good. You can still finish it. It's not like it's
I know
still-
you just wasted a good soda.
I mean, it's like, oh wow, I spewed. Okay, I'm like, there's still like, if out of a soda's that big, there's still that much left.
I don't know if it's just me. Like, do high school kids live in the city?
You got rid of the fizz. I didn't like the fizz, so joke's on you. Chug, 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 chug.
Yeah, I mean, he got 2 sodas now. 2. So you basically have a whole
Right.
soda. So you're good,
You gave me
huh?
you gave me a free soda, even if it was shooken up.
I mean, also, and then of course, like Lois Lane's like, you should go over there, and I'm like, Lois should have said, "Here, hand me the soda." And she went and poured it over the girl's head. That's what Lois.
That would have been good. That would have been funny.
And she'd be like, ah. But yeah, I thought the episode was fun. Ryan, do you have any thoughts?
No, you guys pretty much covered it. Collins, go. What's your score?
I'm gonna give it. Oh, let's see what out of 10. No, I'm gonna say. I would say a 7 out of 10.
Okay, Matt.
I would say a 6. It did have its moments. It's okay at its best, but it moments that I really enjoyed. Clark educating him. I love that part. I think it had moments with Booster Gold getting his own redemption arc. I did like that, but overall, it was like, yeah, it was okay. It's not that that special.
I would like to put it on the record that in Big 2025, the year of our Lord 2025, Matthew Wyatt gave the same score that he gave to Booster to Masquerade. He gave them both 6s. Sir, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, to be fair, it was a guilty pleasure episode.
Still, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Matt,
I gave it a 6 as it was a fun episode, and then another rating as an episode. It was a terrible episode. Don't twist that. Don't try to gaslight me. Don't gaslight me.
That
Matt,
was fortune. That was
John
fortune.
be smacking Matt saying, "Don't be stupid."
I have edited every single episode of this entire show. I have all of our scores committed to memory like Brainiac, so do not gaslight me in saying that you didn't give that score. I know exactly the score that you gave.
Matt, you know what we should do to Matt? You know what we should do? Put a clip of you smacking Matt going, "I want you."
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Oh, yeah,
Master
that
of
one.
Disguise style.
Matt's just like, "Fuck you, okay? It's not that bad." Fuck you, guys.
I'm just kidding, Matt. It's all love.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with just me and Ryan covering the last 2 episodes because Matt decided to fuck off.
He suspiciously got sick, but
That's like, I can't be next week Dominion and stuff. I can't. I'm gonna start then him and Aaron White show up on another podcast called "This Is Smaller Talk," where we're gonna praise Booster. And he said, "What'd you think of Booster?" "I thought it was great." He's like, "See,
miniature talk."
I guarantee you, we're gonna get a long paragraph. Matt's gonna share this to us too. Matt's gonna share it, and it's gonna say, There's why it's got a paragraph why this episode is so great. I actually, to be fair, in Matt's opinion, I do think that this episode is a lot better than the last 3 weeks' episodes. Okay, last week's episodes were shit.
They weren't the best.
Okay,
You're telling me.
But this episode, I mean, I honestly, if you put this in front of me over last week's episodes, I'm watching this one. Although I will say, Masquerade was pretty funny.
It was fucking hilarious. So
It
fuck off. Don't fucking
funny
tell
because
me
this
you
is
didn't
fucking
have any ounce of enjoyment of laughter.
I've been literally sharing like Oliver for like a week. So I mean, it literally stuff. It was in my head. I've been sharing Oliver.
Yeah, he gets a hard on every time he sees Oliver. There you go.
I didn't go that far with it, Matt. Come on.
You know it. You know you enjoyed it.
Pants, Matt.
Well, I'm siding with Collins. I'm going to go 7 as well. It's nice to see Booster Gold in live action. Maybe we'll get a movie out of him. Who knows? But I would love to see that. But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of these episodes? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. It's a privilege to do this show with these guys every week. Collins, what do you got coming up?
I had by the time this airs, we will have a watch party for either Final Destination 3 or Batman Begins. Either by the time this airs, I'm still deciding because I'm just deciding a few things and off camera we'll talk. But either by the time this airs, either we would have watched Final Destination 3 or Batman Begins, and I have my review. My review for Final Destination 3 will already drop my review because I actually had to cover Thunderbolts. That took priority. And of course, this weekend we're supposed to, by the time it airs, we probably will have had on Ryan's channel a spoiler review of Bloodline. So keep an eye out for that. And Talking Silence is coming back soon. And and Kitchen Talk every Thursday and Small Talk every Tuesday. So
Yep.
And coming soon to the channel, a new show that's going to replace Small Talk on Tuesdays.
I'll give you a hint. It is a DC related. That's all I can say.
Oh,
it's all we're at liberty to discuss. However, let's just say it's similar to Smallville in that it's a prequel to something, and it deals with a very famous hero. However, it tweaks it a bit different. And
I would laugh in the comments so they can easily guess this.
Aaron White, where are you, sir? But Matt Wyatt, what do you have coming up?
Well, you can follow my channel at MattWyatt92. I did a couple of trailer reactions to the one action film for the sequel with Bob Odenkirk, Nobody 2. I also dropped my another trailer reaction for James Gunn's Superman movie, and I already did my ranking for the Final Destination franchise, and I'm planning on seeing Final Destination Bloodlines. Hopefully, like maybe on the weekend or so, if it all depends, but I will do a review on that. And maybe by the time you watch this video, you would already see my non-spoiler review. And hopefully I get together with these two guys to do the spoiler discussion of Final Destination Bloodlines.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking. Yes.
Keep going. Right. I was about to say, I'm going to show. We're in a second after you go, Ryan. I'm going to show you the promo. We're going to show it live to the audience. The promo for next week.
Well, yes, the Final Destination Bloodlines spoiler stream will be happening. I'm very much looking forward to doing that. I'm looking forward to seeing that movie. The reviews have just been fantastic. I've been chomping at the bit. Saturday can't get here fast enough. But the Road to Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning continues. Those reviews have been mediocre, which is very sad to hear. But, fingers and toes crossed, it's actually good. Road to James Gunn's Superman continues. Small Talk, Kitchen Talk, all the talks and all the content is coming. So if you have not subscribed, please do so. I would greatly appreciate it. But for Jacob Collins, for Matt Wyatt, my name is Ryan Cam. For Truth, for Justice, for the American Way, always hold on to Smallville and, well,
Sharpton for president, y'all. I'm